Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 148 of the Citrix Session. I'm your host, Andy Whiteside. I was just laughing. You guys can see me on the webcam. I go back and watch the recordings, the video recording, and every time I start one, I put my hand, that's like my nervous tick. I put my hand through my hair, and I don't know. I'm trying to make myself stop doing it, and then I catch myself doing it. Well, guys, welcome. Today is November 6th, 2023, and I've got my great group with me. Bill Sutton on the XenTegra side. Bill, how's it going?
Going well, Andy.
You things are like really starting to pick up towards the end of the year.
Starting to pick up. They are starting to pick up. Yeah, I've got two of my three guys are really well. All three of the guys are busy, but very busy. Although I've got one at PTech today and tomorrow. So John.
Oh yeah, I forgot John was going to PTech. PTech is the Partner Technical
Expert Council. Yeah.
We'll get to Todd and Monica here in a second, but they're always good. I miss the days going to stuff like that.
Yeah, I was planning to go, but I ended up having to play Mr. Mom this weekend, and today, so I couldn't bow out and leave a 16-year-old and a 13-year-old by themselves. So
that's probably not a good idea.
No.
Yeah.
Trust me.
Todd Smith's on. Todd works with customers with Cloud Software Group up in Canada. Todd, how's it going?
It's going really well. It's we're coming up on the end of our fiscal year. So our fiscal year at Cloud Software Group ends at the end of November. So been really busy working with customers. And then most of our customers also have their fiscal year ends in December. So we're going to be busy in December as well, which is a very good problem to have.
So Todd, you and I meet and talk all the time, and it's clear you guys are really investing in your core technologies in a meaningful way, beyond what has been happening over the last 5 years. Are customers seeing this? Are they recognizing the getting back to basics you guys are doing?
Yeah. It's becoming a much easier conversation nowadays with probably a couple of things. One of them is the universal licensing, which means that you can basically run your Citrix virtual apps and desktops in any location, right? So you're not tied to the cloud, or you're not tied to on-prem. We can allow you to do it wherever. And the other thing is that there's still a huge need for customers to be able to access applications and services from a variety of different devices securely and reliably. And that message was valid 10 years ago, and it's still valid today.
Yeah, but more valid with the hybrid work lifestyle.
Absolutely.
And Todd, realistically, when do you see the access to, and I even hate to say this, I hate to put Citrix in this box, access to legacy x86 applications totally going away? I mean, realistically, how much tail is left on that thing?
Well, so think about this. Y2K we're coming up almost on 25 years of the Y2K. And think about it. That was the end all of mainframe based applications. But yet you go talk to banks, and you talk to insurance companies, and you talk to government agencies, and they're still running mainframe based applications and data sets. So I guess to answer your question, it's probably never going to go away. There's still going to be some legacy-based applications out there,
right,
that still need to have reliable connectivity to them and have it be presented to the user wherever they are, in a manner that they can understand it and utilize that information.
When you make that statement, do you include the Windows desktop UI as one of those legacy applications?
Yeah, absolutely.
So to me, that's the game changer. It's like, okay, I can SaaS this and SaaS that, but if I need this all-encompassing digital workspace that everybody knows and recognizes and knows what to do with, aka the desktop, then all of a sudden, that's even longer.
Yeah.
Fortunate to have Monica with us. Monica Griesemer, how's it going?
Going well, thanks. No, thrilled to be here as always. Made it through Halloween, the whole season okay, and now I feel like we're officially at Christmas time. I don't know. I feel like they flipped a switch. So we'll see. Happy November to all. But yeah, busy time here in Citrix land, and I think for everyone coming toward the end of the fiscal year, end of the year. But we've got some great stuff rolling into 2024 as well. So excited to keep those conversations going.
And Monica's on here because, well, we like having her. And two, she's the author of the blog that we're reviewing part 2 of today, which is what's new with Citrix CVAD 2308 and Citrix Cloud updates. Monica, anything from the last time that you want to revisit and kind of talk through?
Yeah. So as usual, on a quarterly basis, we put out these what's new blogs. And for this year, we've been slicing them into 4 distinct categories. We have so many great features, as Todd was saying, both on premises and in the cloud that you can use with the universal license, that we as product folks, as marketing folks, like to categorize them into different areas to make them the story more robust and then also easier to understand. So last time, if you haven't listened in, we covered the operational and IT efficiency updates that we had, as well as the workload and device flexibility updates that we've had over the past quarter. Today, we're going to dive into those security features that we've added and employee experience technologies. So all super huge for our customers, but that's what we're covering today.
Was there any topics from last time that maybe we wanted to clarify at all?
Yeah, so we were talking about, I remember we had the conversation on session network typology, which is in Citrix Monitor, where we discussed the new, they're right there, Andy, when you're scrolling here. The new features, the details that you can see on the session network connectivity. And we were discussing if that's in cloud and on-prem. I believe that it is both for gateway service and on-premises gateway. So we are still rolling this out. This is still releasing, but getting that session network information inside of Citrix Monitor, I know, is a huge topic that we covered last time. Yeah. And we're working to bring it both across cloud and on-premises.
I didn't bring this up last time, I don't think, but the biggest bugaboo in this whole thing, whenever you're talking about ICA and issues, quite often for me, is the frozen screen, which is by design as it relates to packet loss. Does this help with packet loss as well as bandwidth and latency?
I'm not 100% sure on packet loss. We have done some more updates that we'll talk about later in this episode, but I believe there's some in there. I think it's mostly latency, but not 100% sure on packet loss.
Bill and Todd, is packet loss still an issue as much as it used to be, or have the new protocols that basically rely on UDP by default, have they kind of made that more of a moot point?
So we are still seeing packet loss in certain situations, and it's really certain user-based applications, right? So packet loss can have a huge impact on audio video, as an example. And it shows up as choppiness. It shows up as a little bit of slowness, and the audio doesn't sync up well with the video. You almost get the max headroom effect, or you get the old translated movies where it doesn't exactly match up with exactly what the mouth is moving, but the words aren't coming out. Yep. Type of situation. The other things, one other area that you're starting to see some packet loss, it's really identifying the users that are on these really slow networks. The rural internet connections that are not exactly robust.
Yeah, right? or the converted back porch that's now an office.
Yep, absolutely.
And everything's Wi-Fi because everything works on Wi-Fi these days.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. I feel like I've taken a lot of time here. Monica, let's jump in. So let's see. Where did we make it to?
We made it to the security and compliance section.
Got it. So you guys, you named 4 key pillars and what you guys are focused on evangelizing this year. And one of them was security and compliance. Why was security and compliance? I mean, it's a dumb question. For you guys, why?
Just to get it rolling. Obviously, that is top billing and top priority for our customers. I'm talking to and about a lot of healthcare organizations, financial services organizations, anyone across the board. Almost everyone is implementing a zero trust strategy where they have to lock down everything in their environments because against phishing, malware, any of it, the basics of what Citrix does, centralizing your apps and data and being able to secure them is still a huge win for all of our customers. And what we're going to get into here too is not only securing your virtualized apps and data, but also your web and SaaS apps as well. Has been a huge conversation that we're having through secure private access with customers. So security is always top priority, especially in highly regulated industries.
Yeah. For me, the conversation is user experience and security, security and user experience. They basically have to be 1-2, 2-1 every single time.
And one thing to add on this, Andy, is that, the compliance piece of it is showing that the security systems and security policies are actually working, right? It's one thing to say, hey, it's secure by design, but you've got to be able to show it. And that's what a lot of these compliance programs are built to do.
Yeah. So Monica, first section says easy installation of session recording service on Azure.
Absolutely. So this one is specifically talking about session recording, the cloud-based session recording. So I know we've had conversations on this podcast about how we've brought session recording capabilities from on-premises to the cloud. Now, for those industries or those organizations that aren't using session recording and want to get it up and running quickly in the cloud, we've made almost like an easy install GUI inside of session recording service to make it easier than ever to get your servers, database, storage, and load balancers up and running with session recording in Azure. So this is just showcasing that you can do it more quickly than ever. And session recording, I think, at its basics, I know has been around for a long time. Okay, you record user sessions, you can kind of see what's going on, but we have much more to it than that now, where you can record events, you can record triggers to make sessions start recording so they're not recording all the time. It's gotten so much more dynamic, and to be able to use that as a security capability has been huge for a ton of our customers.
Yeah. Todd, Bill, thoughts, working examples of people who have used this as a security tool?
Yeah, I mean, I've had several customers use this, but to Monica's point, the process of getting it set up historically it's been involved. I wouldn't say it's necessarily that challenging, but it's an involved process because you got to have databases, you got to have the viewers, you got to have the recording server, and for them to make it really a very simple process, particularly to be able to deploy it on Azure, where a lot of customers are now running their workloads, is a big deal, and I think it'll get a lot more adoption. The most adoption that I've seen have been in regulated industries, primarily financial services, is where I've seen it used most. Although I know we've got some healthcare clients that have used it in pockets of their environment as well.
Right. Todd, any experiences with customers turning this on and using it in a situation?
Yeah, so a couple of situations where session recording can also be used not only for compliance but also for some training, right? Mm-hmm. So especially in roles where you're used to having a supervisor or some manager kind of looking over your shoulder. Well, now in a hybrid environment, someone's working from home, the manager's not going to be able to go and visit every single person's remote working location. Session recording can actually be used for this. The other piece of it is making it much less complex to go and stand up has been a huge step forward. In being able to turn it on quickly has been a huge. That's going to be a huge boost in productivity as well as simplification.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about this as this starts to move towards artificial intelligence and other things, and then the analytics that can go along with this. Monica, what are you guys calling out here?
Yeah, so in addition, we have added session recording events in Citrix Analytics. So as I was saying, instead of just recording an entire user session, it can have event triggers like registry changes, session launch and ends, clipboard activity, file transfers, and more. So all of those data points that you're getting from session recording anyway are integrating now directly into Citrix Analytics. And we know about Citrix Analytics, you can take action, you can get a full scope of what's happening inside of your environments. So having these two continue to really overlap and play super nicely together is a huge advantage because you're getting that data anyway. So let's aggregate it together. So that's where we're moving toward.
Bill, Todd, any comments on this?
I think being able to tie the event to a follow-up action is going to be huge. So as an example, if someone is transferring files and analytics picks up on it, analytics is already set up so you can actually have that trigger some events, some activities, like disabling an account or shutting the person off, or even just notifying someone that, hey, you know what, there's some file transfer activities that all of a sudden has an impact on either their performance index or that security index that comes with analytics. You can really start leveraging some of that without having to require a human to actually sit there and view logs and take that action, right? You can actually start automating a lot of those things by leveraging some of the AI that's built into it, the machine learning that's built into this.
Yeah. It makes it super powerful. I mean, it makes it a powerful tool that just became infinitely more powerful as you start to turn on analytics, real-time analytics, and actions that go along with those analytics. Imagine so we're talking about the security side of this, the performance analytics, which goes hand in hand with this. You start to notice a user experience is deprecated, and you open up a ServiceNow ticket and let them know, hey, we got a ticket open for this, and monitoring how much power that would bring. Or maybe you open up a ticket and say, hey, we see you're doing you have anomalies going on in your sessions. It looks suspicious. We opened a ticket. You might want to stop.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
All right. Next one, secure private access, enhance access policy configuration flow. This is a very, very popular topic in the Citrix world and something that Citrix can do where others can't. Monica, what are you guys covering?
Yeah. So for secure private access, for those who aren't as familiar, that's our ability to regulate and add security parameters to web and SaaS applications. So adding things like a watermark, limiting copy paste inside of those SaaS apps that you're delivering anyway, really allows Citrix to be that one-stop shop to launch all of the apps and desktops that your users need and to have them secure and centralized in one environment. So here, as we're evolving secure private access, you had to have disparate policies to have rules on each application or to have multiple rules on one application. So now what we're adding is the ability to add multiple rules to one application within one GUI, and then you can actually prioritize those rules. So kind of do like an if-then on the rules, and then also adding the configuration flow allows combining web or SaaS and TCP and UDP apps within the same access policy as well. So just being able to kill multiple birds with one stone instead of having to create multiple policies for the same application or the same policy for multiple applications, we're making it easier than ever to secure your environment simply.
Bill, thoughts on this?
Yeah, we've implemented secure private access a couple of times, not as much as I would have expected, but this is a good improvement. Obviously, I mean, this is going to align more with what we've seen in the policy engine in Citrix Virtual Apps and Desktops or Citrix DaaS, and setting priorities and setting hierarchies. Certainly making it a lot easier to create the policies that need to be created to properly secure these apps, these secure private apps. So yeah, this is definitely a needed feature and something I think that hopefully help us adopt it more readily.
Todd, hybrid work makes this more important than ever?
It does, and not only does it make it more important, but it also having a flow associated with all these policies helps eliminate the old spaghetti bowl of GPOs, right? Where you could get that would impact performance, right? Poorly written or poorly ordered group policies could have a huge impact on performance, right? So this, by having us deliver a flow for people to follow and actually guiding administrators through on how to set these things up, is going to be a huge improvement as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's always been the challenge, is the complexity of everybody wanted it, but they couldn't. They needed to be easier.
Yep.
Monica, next one, secure private access service app and access policy configuration using APIs. I think we might get a chance to talk about service now.
I think so. For this one though, I think you teed it up nicely though, Andy. And the secure private access service APIs help companies automate application and access policy configuration and include it in their existing tasks. So as we're saying, yes, we're getting more into the secure private access with customers. We're working on more and more folks using it, but also we're simplifying it for them, right? So if there's a barrier to entry to setting it up, then it's kind of a moot point. But with adding capabilities and more APIs to automate these security flows, it makes it much easier on organizations. So that's kind of the biggest thing here is just streamlining the access and the security setup.
Yeah. Bill, you see this as an enabler for our customers?
Yes, absolutely. Allowing organizations to integrate multiple systems and make decisions. And when you take this in concert with the other things we've discussed, the ability to make decisions leveraging automation much more simply than just the native GUIs, and being able to customize the behavior that you want in the environment.
Todd, you have any examples of where you guys have already used this?
It's some of the integration activities, right? So whether it be with some of the IT service management platforms like ServiceNow, but also, some of the backend systems, the orchestrators that are out there, right? Being able to, as an example, being able to not only dump information into a product like Splunk, but being also able to do it at an application or an API level instead of doing a data transfer. Actually build in that intelligence as well. Once again, making systems smarter when they talk to each other is a huge step, right? It's going to improve performance. It's going to improve security. It's going to reduce the administrative overhead, the administrative tasks that are out there. And really it comes down to the financial impact of that is, if I can reduce my risk and make things more efficient and be able to take resources and actually apply those resources to something that's more valuable than reading through logs or reading through, data transfers, that's going to be a huge step forward.
Yeah. The efficiencies that are possible through APIs and the automation that go along with that, and the potential ability to, do more with the data. It really just is. It's our only hope going forward.
Yep.
Monica, next one says streamlining employee experience. Okay, so now we've moved from a security discussion to that employee experience discussion that I mentioned earlier, haven't we?
Yes.
Yeah.
And though they do go hand in hand, we do have this as our final section discussing employee experience because we have some really great updates, starting with the fact that we've introduced a new Citrix user interface. I believe we talked about this last time it was in tech preview, but the UI is currently our cloud-based UI. And what it does is it gets down to brass tacks of what our users are doing inside of the interface. So they've got their apps and desktops. You can favorite them just like you can on Storefront. It's streamlined. And so really it's getting back to basics, as I think Citrix has been doing as a whole, and showing exactly what users need and what they're accessing right inside of the UI. And then there's also categories with apps that come up. So that's a big thing. But I think the biggest thing we want to cover here, and one of the biggest things is we've added Activity Manager so that users can self-serve and log off or disconnect sessions inside of the UI themselves. So this has been huge if there's like a hung session or if one of their apps isn't working properly, then they can disconnect it themselves from within the Workspace app. And it's just streamlining things overall. That we've added a ton of capabilities, but those were the big ones, the new look and feel and the addition of Activity Manager.
So a simplified, more Citrix-centric look and feel that also includes the ability for the user to self-service more.
Yes, exactly.
Bill, sound like a good idea?
Yeah, it sounds like a great idea. This is certainly a long way from Dazzle, right, Todd and Andy? Yeah, exactly. No, this
Hey,
is
I even know what Dazzle is,
you
Bill.
do?
It's
Okay.
infamous, you know.
Yeah, I'm sure it is. I'm sure it is. So no, this is I love the fact that you can that the user actually has some power here to help resolve their own issues when they occasionally occur. So I've played with this a little bit and it's really slick. So I think it'll definitely help with adoption for sure.
Yeah. Todd, your thoughts on this?
Yeah, it really kind of goes towards the change in our users, right? Our users are becoming much more sophisticated and much more in control of what they're working on a daily basis. They
You just said they're
know.
younger. You said they're younger. Is that what you said?
Well, in some cases, yeah. I mean, the workforce, there's new younger folks joining the workforce every day.
Yeah.
But the thing is, they're not used to having to call and open up a support ticket to get help, right? They're going to try to solve it themselves. And this is another way of getting them the information that maybe they can avoid having to call in or opening up a ticket. By seeing a little bit about, oh, well, this service is down. I'm disconnected. I need to reconnect. Little things like that can help make their lives more productive.
Yeah.
Agreed. And I think it's, yes, an expectation of what users expect. Also, we've added improvements to first-time user experience here. So if, there's new folks that have come online that haven't used Citrix before or haven't had it within their organizations, there's a much easier graphical representation and flow to get them up and running with this. Because almost all of my friends that are my age, older, younger, have seen Citrix in their corporate environments, but not many of them, maybe not all of them, use it on a daily basis. Or they're like, oh, it's on my computer, but I don't really know what it's doing. This really helps get people in and understanding what Citrix is doing for them and getting them to use it as well. Yeah. And then with the self-service thing, as Todd was saying, I couldn't agree more. I mean, I literally over the weekend had to do something on, I ordered clothes online and I had to change something and I didn't even talk to a person. I talked to a bot and it fixed it for me. And that I'm like, okay, perfect. Not that I don't love talking to people, but when it comes to things in the internet space, things how I expect my tech to work, that's how I expect it to work.
Yeah. And we're getting to a point where those things work so often that you kind of do prefer to talk to it, not them.
Right.
Yeah. I have a question for you guys. I can't believe I'm going this path, but when you watch a new Star Wars movie, you assume it's some type of digital animation that's creating like these virtual army folks, the clones or whatever. And the old ones, it was obvious it was a human being inside the costume, wasn't it? Is that a good way to kind of talk about the world we're going into, where it's all of a sudden, it's like, is it or is it not? And then within 5 years from now, it'll be obvious that it's just not a person inside it. Did I totally just derail the whole conversation?
I think we could derail it. But no, I think it is an expectation that, not an expectation, it's the world that we're living in is artificial intelligence. So I think it definitely could be known, but there's still beauty in the basics, but there's an expectation in continuing to move with the future or getting left behind. I don't know. Todd, do you feel the same?
Well, I think we can coin the phrase, the reality is artificial intelligence and the impact. But it really, get to the point of, if I can start using things that other people have developed or other people have set up the process, and I can just leverage that, it's taking valuable time out of my 24 hours a day that I can repurpose and reuse someplace else, because I'm actually taking advantage of something that, work that was done by others, or I'm not going to have to worry about that.
Yeah.
Forrest Gump said it best. He goes, well, that's good. That's one less thing I have to worry about. The amount of space that we have in our human ability to process things, if we can eliminate those mundane remedial tasks, let someone else do it, or let something else do it for us, that's not always a bad thing.
I really, really, really do like this conversation when you tie it back to the human beings that died dressed up as stormtroopers versus the robots that just got blown away as clone whatevers. They call them clone troopers. They just call them clones.
The clones.
Clones. Now we'll move away from this topic. But while you're saying that, I'm over here Googling it. I'm not the only person asking this question, believe it or not. There's a whole discussion going on the internet.
Oh, you're going down the whole rabbit hole.
Yeah. All right, as Citrix guys, let's talk about what we really, really love the most, and that is the codecs and the protocol. The next section, Monica, is HDX powered by AV1 codec public tech preview. I thought the protocol wars were long over, but we still run into situations where they're not. I think this is part of that.
Yeah, absolutely. So this has been an exciting announcement that we introduced the AV1 and H.264 codecs in public tech preview. So really introduces better graphics performance and lower CPU utilization. So you're saying the protocol wars, so people expect better and better. It's interesting, right? Because even when you see something that was HD or Blu-ray from years ago, sometimes it's not as good as HD today. Mm-hmm. So you think the protocol wars are over until we get more accustomed to better, right? Yeah. And also implementing this in things like graphs and charts, if you think healthcare, if you think financial models, if you think 3D imaging and manufacturing, the crisper, the better. So having these codecs, and then in addition, the AV1 codec enhances performance and lower CPU utilization. So the best of both worlds there.
So less expensive and better all at the same time.
Can you ask for more?
Yeah. So Monica, is this intended to be used in all use cases, or like, medical imaging type review type stuff?
I think it would be more graphics intensive use cases, but I mean, eventually folks might just be accustomed to Ultra HD. But yeah, initially I think things like medical imaging or manufacturing, 3D modeling, that sort of thing is probably where it's going to start. Mm-hmm. But again, I mean, I expect my Netflix to be in HD. So I think eventually it could get much more mainstream.
Let me tell you about VHS.
I remember those too.
But you're bringing up a really valid point in the fact that it's what the users are expecting, what they've grown up and what they've become accustomed to. It's the old school animatronics versus the CGI generated stuff that's available today. There are certain use cases, in healthcare is a great one, right? You could not, for many years, you could not do diagnosis of radiology images on any device that has not been certified by the manufacturer, which meant that those few manufacturers had they cornered the market on radiology images because it was very expensive and it was they were the only ones that were certified.
Right. Now
people are doing, they're looking at, outside of the healthcare world, they're analyzing space telescope information. They're doing that 3D modeling with precision and not being able to recognize the difference between what is being presented on the screen and what's actually available in a 3D model.
Right.
So there's a lot of improvements here.
So Todd, from you and Monica's response, what becomes mainstream in the day-to-day world will probably become mainstream in this professional compute world that we live in. Yeah. And the need to continue to evolve our protocols, it's just reality.
Yeah. And I think it also addresses the human nature that we as humans have the ability to fill in those gaps. When we hear something, we hear someone talking, and all of a sudden there's like little bits that they miss. We actually have the ability to bridge those gaps and bridge those momentary losses. When we're talking about processing, it's machine processing. They don't have that ability.
No. And as we get things like better and better displays, which is happening, all of you guys, well, I'm probably looking at the worst display of the four of us. Just like with the picture that's shown here, you do start to see the nuance between something that's clear and something that's almost clear.
Yep.
Bill,
Yeah, I think that's what we've come to expect, and the evolution of display technology as you look back the past 3 to 5 years. I mean, and I think that folks that are used to the evolution of the Mac display or 4K or 8K displays, the ability to be able to give a similar experience in a remote hosted delivery model is critical, and helps adoption.
I think back all the time to my dad had this big screen TV, and by big screen I mean like 40 inches, weighed 1,000 pounds, and in hindsight it was horrible. Now for $250 I can buy a 40 to 50 inch TV at Costco that's pretty amazing, and it's not good when you set it beside something that's a $3,000 or $4,000 TV.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, to the point where I'm not even going to buy an outdoor TV. I'm going to buy a TV, put a cover over it, and see how long it lasts.
Yeah, my brother did the exact same thing. He said, "I'm not spending all that money for an outdoor TV. I'll just, if it dies, it's $200. I'll buy another one."
Yeah. How long has it lasted?
It's a long time.
Okay, good to know. $29 cover on Amazon looks like my answer. All right, Monica, keep talking protocol. The EDT, enhanced display transport, and enhanced EDT. You can tell me what that means. Is part of the new gateway service, Lossy.
Yeah, so we have added EDT Lossy to Citrix Gateway Service. So this is about loss tolerance, and it's a transport protocol designed to enhance end user audio. So even though Todd just said we can fill in the gaps as humans, it's nice when we don't have to. So making sure that we don't have audio dropping and introducing EDT Lossy. We've been talking about this for a while, and it is now, I believe, GA with Gateway Service. So just continuing to improve that audio experience. And you had to ask me, enlightened data transport, I think, is what EDT is.
That's right.
Yeah.
And just for our listeners, Todd, I'll let you do it. What is that? Where did it come? What's the origin of EDT? Enlightened display transport.
Yeah, so it was a way for us to help expand out what we use within channels within the ICA protocol, right? So being able to, as we shifted, TCP versus UDP, right? So this is a way to expand upon our ability to manage, to break down that pipe, that total bandwidth down into smaller channels. And once you have it in a channel, you can actually prioritize what channels get precedence when it's going through the network. And it really helps with long haul connections, as well as, those inconsistent, rural network connections that are out there.
And Todd, is this the one that's kind of UDP falls back to TCP if it senses the need?
It can, yeah.
Yeah. Bill, any comments on just the overall concept of EDT, Lossy through the gateway?
Yeah, I mean, leveraging UDP, the transport protocol that doesn't require acknowledgements. You're basically just throwing the data down the wire, and if it makes it, it doesn't. If it doesn't make it, that's not a big deal, because we can compensate for it by waiting for it to be resent, or we just compensate for it. So, and this from an audio perspective, it's critical, obviously, because if you have to wait for all those acknowledgements, then and you're dealing with packet loss or latency, then you end up with choppy audio. And leveraging UDP, which is the foundation, I think, of EDT, gives a much better experience for the end user, and typically I don't think necessarily uses as much bandwidth.
Yeah. Okay, awesome. Well, I love that we wrapped it up with talking protocol, because that's what it's one of many things that makes Citrix the market leader, the industry leader, and I think others competing with Citrix, kind of deflect the conversation away from this, but it's still very important.
Absolutely.
Monica, Todd, thank you for spending the time with us as always, and we look forward to having the next chat. Monica, I thought we'd get this done in in 3 weeks. It took us 2, which is awesome. But maybe if we have a schedule for next time, we'll pick another Monica blog and we'll cover it.
Sounds good. Yep. And as I said, we do this on a quarterly basis. So hopefully in December, my colleague Emma Bland is running the launch that's coming out in December. So she would be great to have on the call. She's a former Citrix consultant, so she'll be able to really give some great background as well.
Sure.
So again, you know, my team's always here cranking these out every quarter. So, and we love coming on the podcast. So just let us know when you want us to come chat.
Yeah, absolutely. Todd, what do you have coming up?
So we're almost at the end of the fiscal year. Luckily, most of my business in Canada has been pretty much wrapped up. So looking forward to prepping for fiscal year 2024.
Did you see a lot of growth in the Citrix business in Canada this year?
We did. Yeah, we did. And last time I was up there, we actually had a chance to catch up with the XenTegra Canada team.
Good. Well, hopefully they're doing great things for you guys. If not,
They are.
tell us what to do because we
If
want.
not, I would have called you.
Okay. All right, Bill, what do you have going on?
Oh, same old thing, managing projects, keeping things moving, getting some new offerings going for the business. So yeah, staying busy for sure.
Yeah. There's always plenty to do.
For sure.
Including eat lunch, which is where I'm going to do next.
Same here.
All right, guys. All right. Thank you for the time, guys. I appreciate it as always. And we look forward to doing it again.
Yep.
Great.
Thanks, Andy.
Thanks all.
Thank you.